I make many different kinds of videos on this channel, and sometimes those videos bridge ideas over many months or even years. For example, I like talking about what could happen in Pokemon. There's so much potential that people love talking about, so I try to create a discussion here that if you were talking with your friends about Pokemon, you can also find a video format with some loose ideas. Talked about what would happen for an open world for the future of Pokemon, how we could expand the world with new regions, but also going back to the past. Like, look at XD Gale of Darkness, look at Pokemon Coliseum. Those are pretty cool console games, and now we're moving over to a console on Nintendo Switch, so I like talking about that. I also like going into the history of Pokemon, that this article right here I have referenced so many times, the methodical destruction of Pokemon in black and white, because it kind of represents a lot of the disdain that people have had for recent Pokemon games, that the games have been made intentionally easier, that key features, like even the Battle Frontier, was intentionally removed from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire because Game Freak thought that it would be too difficult and that kids these days wouldn't enjoy playing the features, would get frustrated and just end up not using it. And that is actually reflected in some of these old interviews that I've talked about, but then I also like looking for the future. I like looking for positivity, that I feel that whatever people are saying about Pokemon Let's Go, at the time making this video, it's just rumors, might be real, might be fake, who knows, but people just don't like the idea of the name and they don't like the idea of Pokemon Go integration on a Kanto reboot. I think all of that is perfect for Pokemon, so we try to cover all kinds of different things. But when it comes to Nintendo Switch, Game Freak cannot screw up, which is kind of why I want to do this video. I've been thinking about the perfect plan. I've been spending a lot of time thinking about what would be the best course of action for Game Freak to make Pokemon better than it's ever been and the community happier than it's ever been, which would be quite a feat. And like I just said, we don't really know any information about the core series Pokemon Switch game that has already been confirmed by Game Freak to be in development for 2018, but when it comes to some other generational releases, we have Pokemon X and Y being announced in January, Pokemon Sun and Moon being announced in February. Not much happens in March or April. Like, we get all of our big news in May, which I did do a video about, and the latest it gets to is June, but for something like the Nintendo Switch, we should expect some information right now, which is why I feel now is a really good time to actually do a discussion video like this. The future is about to shine bright for Pokemon. We are due for some information about the Pokemon Switch game any day now, any week now, and if not, it's going to be by E3. So everything is looking pretty good, which means now we can just start from here, get that baseline going, and then see what Pokemon can do, or what Game Freak can do for the future years on the Nintendo Switch. So let's talk about 2018. Now, everything in this segment of the video is going to be based off of the Pokemon Let's Go rumors and some of the other information that we've got about it. So it's going to be something like a Kanto remake based off of Pokemon Yellow version that integrates with Pokemon Go, and I am just a fan of everything about this for many reasons, and I even did a video recently about it, which is the thumbnail that you see on screen right now. So the reason why I like this so much, I'm going to be quick since I've already talked about it a lot, but the reason why I like this so much is because the Nintendo Switch is going to be the first time we've had a core series game on a console for Pokemon. So this is going to be one of the largest undertakings on one of the most powerful systems that Game Freak has ever had, which is why I feel going back to Kanto, putting everyone at square one, is going to be the best decision for either the oldest, most hardcore dedicated Pokemon players, the newer Pokemon players, or even fresh Pokemon players whose first experience with Pokemon will be on the Nintendo Switch. Now this is where the rumors start to fall in line with my perfect Pokemon Switch scenario, because Pokemon Go integration is an amazing idea, because there's going to be a lot of players that they play Pokemon Go, but they haven't been interested in the main series Pokemon games. So if it gets mixed up just enough, that could bring them back in, and if they want some of their work to already be accomplished, you know, a lot of players I've experienced on the handheld games, we're going to transition just fine. Those people that are either new to Pokemon through Pokemon Go, or quit around the first 3 generations and then came back because of Pokemon Go, they might want to feel a little bit of a boost. They want to feel a little bit recognized that they still have some kind of care and dedication for Pokemon. So because of that, I think it's going to work, and also I feel it's going to be kind of like a Pokewalker, just a modernized Pokewalker. Your smartphone, you go out, you catch Pokemon, you connect it with your Switch, you're good to go, just like with your Pokewalker. You go out, you walk around, you catch Pokemon, you interact with your DS. I don't understand why anyone is against this feature, because the Pokewalker was amazing. And another thing I don't want to see is new Pokemon. Now, personally, I really want to see it, but the perfect scenario, what is best for Game Freak, is not overwhelming people. Imagine after Pokemon Sun and Moon, only 2 years, we go into a new console, we go into this crazy large new experience, and then there's 100 new Pokemon. So we go over 900 Pokemon on this relaunch, on this reboot, for the Pokemon franchise. That's going to make it harder for the older fans to return if they're going to feel more overwhelmed and more set back by just new things being blasted at them on top of everything else that's happening. So 2018, I feel it's just going to be capitalizing on rebooting the series for the largest launch that we've seen for a Pokemon game on a console. And when you think about it, it's impossible to be against these Pokemon Let's Go rumors because it appeals to everyone. The oldest fans, the new fans, and then the newest fans, they're all going to be satisfied by what the game brings because it's going to have something familiar to them, so that's going to be pretty cool. Now, what about 2019? How are we going to make it work in 2019 for the Pokemon Switch games? Now, I'm feeling that we don't need another core series game. We probably don't even need a new generation at this point, as long as balancing occurs. There's no need to force diversity. That will probably just create more imbalance in a game that is already terribly unbalanced. So we need to make sure the competitive scene, I think 2019 is the year of competitive Pokemon. Not 2018, that's going to be the integration, that's going to be the build-up right there, but 2019 is going to be where everything needs to get together to turn Pokemon into an esport, and then to capitalize on the massive success of Pokemon Let's Go, and I feel that the best way of doing this is by releasing a battle simulator. Pokemon Battle Revolution is one of my favorite Pokemon games ever, so imagine Pokemon Battle Revolution with upgraded graphics and an enhanced competitive experience. That's going to be amazing, and the thing is, it doesn't matter who you are. Even the most casual Pokemon fan will probably find massive enjoyment in this game because everyone played and loved Pokemon Stadium. That you just pick Pokemon, you throw them out there, and then you get to play it. So even if you're not super competitive, you're going to be enjoying the core battling of Pokemon, which is effectively what everything in the Pokemon games boils down to. That everything you do in that game just kind of builds up to where you get a strong team, and then you try to beat other people, and then you become the very best like no one ever was. That's kind of all there is to Pokemon, and anyone that says otherwise, they're being very dishonest, or they're trying to pretend that Pokemon isn't what it really is, because it's all about that competitive battling in the end, and even a casual player can battle competitively. Now, this is where it gets a little controversial, because once again, as much as I hate this idea, as much as I don't want it to happen, we need an actual battle simulator. I'm not talking about, you can uplink your Pokemon like in Battle Revolution, or you get predetermined Pokemon like we had in Pokemon Stadium. I'm talking about Pokemon Showdown levels. You build it from the ground up, you make it exactly how you want it, and then you get to battle other players who have their Pokemon exactly how they want it as well. Pokemon breeding has become easier every generation since Generation 3. That there is no excuse to hack your Pokemon because it is so trivially easy at this point, but at the same time, hacking is an amazingly overwhelming problem, and it's going to happen on the Nintendo Switch. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. We might get a few months of pure non-cheating Pokemon play. The Nintendo Switch has already been exploited, and the people behind PK Hex say that it is very likely there will be save modification within a month of Pokemon Switch's release. Also Pokemon Bank. I hate it. I don't want Pokemon Bank. I'm okay with rebreeding my Pokemon, getting all my Pokemon and teams together through hard work and dedication as intended every single generation of Pokemon. Every 3 years, I have to rebreed another 50 to 100 Pokemon to get a team going. As long as everyone else is doing it, I am 100% okay with that, and that is what I would absolutely prefer in Pokemon. But a lot of people would be upset if there was no Pokemon Bank, all the Pokemon they've grinded for and had for not decades, but over a decade that they've kept with them for a long time, they're going to be severely disappointed, and that's going to just going to burn a lot of players right there. So Pokemon Bank, as unfortunate as it is probably going to find its way into the Nintendo Switch Pokemon game, which means all those hacked Pokemon are coming in as well. So to keep everyone on a fair, competitive footing, this is what needs to happen, as unfortunate as it is, but I think that's still pretty good. That means for 2018, we get a year of a new traditional Pokemon experience in whatever Pokemon Let's Go is going to be, and then 2019, turning that into the year of competitive, the year of Pokemon as an esport, is going to be an amazing decision, because you're capitalizing on what could be the largest growth that Pokemon has ever seen. That if a ton of these games are moved, if a ton of Nintendo Switch consoles are sold for this game, also Super Smash Bros. We have Nintendo Versus. They are really trying to promote Nintendo-based esports, so 2019 has to be focused on competitive. It either needs to completely eradicate all cheating and hacking and make it completely foolproof, or it will fail. Or you also just have a simulator in a Pokemon Battle Revolution style game that actually, one of the first Pokemon video game world championships was played on Pokemon Battle Revolution. Also, when it comes to Pokken Tournament, that is a competitive Pokemon game based on Nintendo Switch. So using consoles for the world championships for VGC is nowhere near impossible and not even unfamiliar territory when it comes to Pokemon. So that's pretty good, and it is just about making it fair for everyone. You look at 2016 Worlds, a lot of players were already confirmed to be using hacked Pokemon at some point, and then even that's just super suspicious when we have perfect max IVs, or perfect IV legendaries with perfect hidden powers and perfect movesets, to where it'd be impossible to obtain legitimately while also being a top competitive battler who's putting a lot of training and practice into it. So to remove that unfair advantage, just gotta make it a simulator, as unfortunate as it is, but then it means that we get to have a strong esport in competitive Pokemon. Now, as for 2020, this is where, you know, it's a little too far in the future for me to care about to a degree, as well as also speculate about. Like, all I care about right now is making sure that the first Nintendo Switch Pokemon game is really good, and that the competitive side of Pokemon is also going to be lasting. That if hacking is dealt with in some way, if there is absolutely no cheating in the competitive Pokemon scene, then this game is going to last for years. The reason why Pokemon Sun and Moon died? Too much hacking. The game was data mined and hacked a week before the game came out. There was absolutely no legitimate play for the entirety of the 7th generation, and that's why the game died. So we need a healthy, fair, competitive environment, and then outside of that, it's whatever Game Freak wants to do. It seems equally likely that we might not even get Generation 8 in 2020, and we could just get Generation 4 remakes. I honestly have no preference. As long as 2018 is a very strong launch for Pokemon's first Switch game, and 2019 cements Pokemon for esports, I don't care if we get Generation 8 or not. I don't care if we get Diamond and Pearl remakes or not, as long as Pokemon just keeps the momentum going. That Diamond and Pearl remakes would be incredibly community focused because everyone has their underground bases. There's online connectivity, so it'd be like sharing. Maybe there could, it's a Nintendo Switch, so maybe there could actually be live rooms that you could get your friends together and actually play as though you were in a local connection. That could be amazing. And then there's also contests, maybe having like rankings for contests that you can upload and then compete with like that online. There's a lot of really cool things about the Sinnoh region that open it up like Pokemon X and Y. There could be a lot of community expansion for Pokemon right then, which makes it pretty strong for 2020. So that means we go to Foundation, Competitive, Community. Very strong 3 years for Pokemon Switch, but at the same time, people would be wanting a new generation of Pokemon, and again, like I said, it's oversaturated. If they wait till Gen 8 to just cap it at like 1,000 Pokemon, that'd be okay. And if that happens, 2021, we still have enough Pokemon, we still have enough going for us to where we wouldn't have to worry about it. So as long as the game stays balanced, we don't need new Pokemon introduced, and as long as the competitive scene has no hacking, it's just going to kind of keep the game alive from there. So as for the future, I'm not really worried as long as things go well over the next 2 years, because we already have enough material. We already have enough to keep Pokemon going until 2022. We are set for 4 years at minimum, and as long as there are no mistakes made in the way that destroy Pokemon, that destroy the community, that make it to where it's just not fun to play Pokemon, then we have nothing to worry about, so I can trust Game Freak from that point on. So guys, enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.